now.
Yeah.
I was born on a Thursday. I think Tuesday, actually. Are you born on Tuesday or Thursday, Bunny?
I was born on Thursday.
I gotta find out. Let me Google this. Someone the other day said, if you're born on a Thursday, your life is just destined to be worse.
Oh.
What day was Jan 9th? 7. It was a Thursday! What the fuck, buddy?
Thursday.
I was given bad luck since the beginning. I had no chance.
What time were you born?
Oh,
Morning or night?
give a guess.
Or midday?
A guess.
I feel like you were middle of the night, baby. You probably woke your mama up.
I was a 9-hour delivery.
God.
Yeah. How much do you think I weighed as a baby?
Probably like 12 pounds.
12 pounds, 9 ounces. I was the asshole child for my mom. I was born 12 pound, 9 ounces at like 12:05.
Oh, you were born I was just joking when I said 12
at
pounds because I thought that was ridiculous.
At 12:05 a.m. My mom went to the hospital like 3 in the afternoon, and she's like, I'm having a bad time. I'm like, okay, we got you.
Pushing a 12-pound baby out for 9 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? She did her darndest. She's like, I'm going to have a natural birth. I'm going to eat such good like food. I'm going to jazzercise. She was doing everything, right?
Boy, this is really fascinating.
And she gets to the delivery room, and like 5 hours in, they're like, are you sure you still want to just push this thing out? Yes, I'm so dead set. 8 hours, 30 minutes. They're like, no, nuh-uh. It hasn't moved. C-section. They're like, you're gonna fuck yourself up.
Mama.
I was breaking women's backs since before I was declared birth.
Wow.
I guess 12 pounds.
Welcome.
Jaffe.
Welcome.
How much? I thought he... Oh, okay.
That was a fat baby. Welcome to the Madhouse today. Starring David, Scott Jaffe, and Bunny, middle name here, Button. She didn't fill out the form. Also with Tech Protect, giving you the sweet tunes of the early 2000s.
Bunny, I didn't mean to cut you off. I want to finish that when we come back.
All right. Do you have the music playing, Jaffe?
Pull the strings, Bunny.
Sterling says more like the Yap House. You're right.
Look how big she is.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Welcome to Madhouse, folks. We apologize for the delay. We're making the intro really quick because look, there's a very busy, long week to get all the streaming. It's Summer Games Fest. It's Madhouse Week, so thank you for putting up with our tardiness. But we are here now. We have a great show for you tonight. I am here with the delightful Miss Bunny Baton. Bunny is this is my favorite Bunny Button outfit. I don't know what it is about it. I just think it is the coolest fucking thing. I think it's the little hat and the fringe. It's like
a bunch of little hats.
It's like, hello. You can go in any restaurant and be classy and tip the hat. And then Tech is down there. I got a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup. We got Bobo Bosco Brown over there. We're set for a great show. We got a great guest tonight. But first, before we jump in, I will not eat on the stream. That was it. That was it, Bunny Button. Before we jump in, what was the story we were going to get to? I said save that for the show. You were talking about not you being a big fat baby, something else.
I have a friend who recently found out he thought he was dating a 25-year-old, and she apparently is 41. He had no idea.
That's like that movie, The Orphan.
Great.
Apparently, she looks fantastic.
Well,
Yeah.
was he upset because she
No,
lied?
he thinks that's extra hot. He's like, what the fuck?
Okay, but wait a minute. When he thought she was 25, was she lying to him?
No, they're early on in the relationship. Like they're like 3 months into it.
Okay,
but
so
he
just assumed because she looked that age.
Yeah, he's 34. And he was like, it's interesting dating someone younger. It's like a new experience for me. She's a little stupid. Like he's like, yeah, she's a little dumb. She don't know a lot about the world. Uh, and then they start talking about like, well, tell us about your like experiences in life. Thank you, Butterfly, for the one gifted.
Butterfly?
We have a gifted goal today. Thank you, Butterfly.
We'll get to that in a minute. But yes, thank you, Butterfly. Good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah. So like for the early onset part of the relationship, it was just like, yeah, she's quirky. Young women this, young women that. This generation, you know what Jaffe says, all the shit Jaffe says.
Yeah.
And then she's like, it's my birthday tomorrow, and again, they never talked age, and he was like, oh, cool, I'll send you something. And he's like talking, he's like, what do you send someone who's 25? She's like, who's 25? And she's like, I'm older than 40. And he was like, what the fuck? So now he's like, that's kind of cool that she looks this good at that age. But also, he thought she was dumb for a 25-year-old.
Now
so
she's really
he's like,
dumb.
Now she's really dumb for a 40-year-old.
Is there an age gap for you where you wouldn't date? Like, I don't think I would want to date a much older woman. Because I'm 54, so I would have to visit her in the old folks' home. But the other reason
30
is
years.
30 years for you?
Yeah.
You would date a 58-year-old woman.
Yeah, and if I was 59, then I would be like 18-year-olds are off the table.
I don't think 18-year-olds should ever be off the table.
Well, I think at 59 you got to start pulling it back. You got to start throwing your net a little closer to the boat.
What? Well, okay, now that's different. You're throwing your net closer to the boat because that's where the fish are. But if you're 60 and you can get an 18-year-old and it's just sex and it's not a relationship, you're telling me you would say, no, I'm not interested?
I feel like at that point, unless I'm Bruce Wayne, like there's no reason, I'm not like, you've talked about this on stream before.
What do you mean there's no reason? Maybe you don't know what to do with him when you got him. What do you mean there's no reason?
No, it's just like, all right, you've explained before that like, you take like medicines. You're like, yeah, I don't really like pursue like small encounters with like relationships. Like you're not out here like
not at this point in my life.
Dick.
No.
Yeah, I imagine when I'm at that age, I'll probably also not be slinging dick. Also, I think I found my true love, so I'm dead set. I'm settled. I don't have to do anything anymore.
What have we met him? What's his name?
Because
I'm making a joke that you like the men.
I kiss boys.
You kissed the boy and you liked it.
With mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I am very happy in my current situation. In fact, my brother texted me today because he was a guest on the show Monday, and he's like, so here's what he said. And this is funny because Tech was always telling me that people thought this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He said, so is Bunny Button your girlfriend? And I said, I haven't actually responded to him, but if he's watching, no, but Tech, not yet. Not that she knows. But your Tech has been saying forever that people think that we're flirting and stuff. And I look, here's the deal. I can't help that she's obsessed with me, you guys. I cannot. I mean, come on, look at me. Look at me. Look what I've done. And so, but yeah, I think about just the effort of relationships, and it exhausts me. You think it's hard? It's a lot. It's a lot. And for what? So you have somebody to do something with on New Year's? I already got that covered. I'm good. T. James, welcome to the Diet Soda Soldiers, buddy. We appreciate you being here. It is delightful to have you with us. T. James kicks us up closer to our goal. Let's tell you about the goals tonight. Yeah, that means Zeke, me, and Anthony are finished. Absolutely. That's what someone says when they're hiding a relationship, says Canadian. Hey, look, there's nothing to hide. I really am not interested. It's too much work. It is absolutely too much fucking work. So no, whatever you're saying. Willie says, stop coping, Jaffe. We know what's up. Derek has it. Derek says relationships are like a second job. You goddamn right. You goddamn fucking right. No, thank you. Been there, done that. Got the T-shirt.
I like relationships.
Well, you enjoy them. Oh,
Cute.
Lord have mercy.
Cute little guy.
So, what I hate are the people that think everybody wants to be in a relationship. Where it's just like, shut up.
I think some people shouldn't be in relationships.
Yeah, I think so. Now, that doesn't mean I won't eventually be in another relationship. But in my life right now, God, it just seems, a lot of work. A lot of work. Canadian says, not interested in Bunny. How dare you, sir? You are out of your mind. First off, let's be clear. Bunny lives in North Carolina. Bunny has a choice of all the men folk and lady folk she wants. And I work with Bunny. Now, has she come on to me several times in ways that make me feel both comfortable and aroused? Sure. But that said, I have to say, I'm sorry, what?
Continue.
What'd you say? What'd you say, Bunny Button?
No, are you going? Go ahead.
Oh, no. I'm curious what you just said.
I just said you're full of lies. Go ahead.
I am not full of lies. In my fantasies, you came on to me. In my fantasies. Okay. Listen, anyway, the point is, I like how Tracy in the chat's got to chime in like she's got the skinny. She says, Bunny has a man, David has his ex, and in about a week he'll have his daughter home and Tech. Protect will be hitting on his son. Oh, Lord. Tracy, what is the problem, champion? What is the problem, Tracy? It's always some vitriol, venomous shit with you. Can't you just say, hey, it's nice to be here. I like being in the madhouse with you guys. You're on my shit list tonight, Bunny Button. You told me I'm full of lies. That hurts me. That hurts me. Here's what's happening, though, tonight. Seriously, jokes aside, gifted members. For every 15 members we get, we are going to play a really cool, brand new horror video game demo after the show. We're doing a tight 2 hours tonight, and afterwards, for every 15 members, and we're at 2 already, we got to pump up those numbers. Right now, we're dealing with some very rookie numbers, folks. We will play some demos, and they are really fucking good demos if you like to be scared and you like the horror video games. Absolutely, for sure. Okay. I think Bunny likes Jaffe, but don't make it awkward, Jaffe. Bunny's amazing. What are you talking about? There's no doubt. Bunny's one of us. One of us. But, I'm a very international man of mystery. I fly all over a lot. What's the story for the movie marathon? It ain't a movie marathon, Rocker Matt. It's 3 movies on Sunday. The next one we do, tell them about Clerks 2, just so we can get that.
We did get Rocker Matt coming in and saying that he wanted to do $50 for Clerks 2. We're going to go ahead and do another movie night next weekend as well, and it'll be Clerks 2 for sure. At least Clerks 2. Yeah. I'll be running it with Rob or myself or someone.
Right, because otherwise it's just too many. But yeah, so we got your donations. We're so grateful. Thank you, buddy. It'll be it'll be then. Drew, thank you. Welcome to the Diet Soda Soldiers. Drew has stepped up to the plate and says, I want to play some horror video games with you jerk-offs, jack-off, whatever, fuck off. Yeah. Drew, thank you for that, buddy. We very much appreciate it, Drew. If I had a little cool hat like Bunny, I would tip it. I would tip it for you. Tip, tip. Bunny did it. Tip your hat to Drew, bitch. Come on, Tech.
Well,
I don't have a hat.
Not you, Bunny. I would never call you that.
Okay. I can't
Bunny. I would never talk to you that way.
Well, sometimes you are mean to me.
Yeah, sometimes you are.
Okay, whoa, sister. Take it down a notch. What are you talking about?
See, look how mean he is.
I'm not mean. I'm flabbergasted. You're one of my favorite people on the internet.
Your tail's
what do you
wagging,
mean?
Jaffe. We can see your tail wagging in
What
the
do
camera.
you mean? That makes me sad. You think I've ever been mean to you? Oh, Bunny.
Forget that one episode where you were mean to me like the whole episode.
I was flirting.
Neither here nor there.
I was flirting with you, Bunny.
Was the flirt when you said, shut up, Bunny, who cares? Because that was the main quote.
I never said that to Bunny Button. I said to you, shut up,
that
bitch.
one episode, Bunny said something, and you were like, shut up, Bunny, who cares?
I was teasing her.
Aww.
Bunny, now I feel bad. I'm going to feel bad all night. God. God, Bunny's one of my favorite people. She's so creative and fun and sweet.
Yeah, we have a great episode planned out for today for everyone in the chat. Wonderful time, and a special guest we're going to bring in.
Yes, in just a minute, we're going to bring a guest in. Keep going, Tech.
Jaffe has some great topics lined up. Bunny has some great outfits lined up. I'm going to be doing face paint while we do this. I'm going to be a little clown guy today. I'm a little manic.
Don't say Mod's got Bunny's back. I got Bunny's back, too. I'm very fond of this lady. Huh?
I want to know what grass-fed means but then I remembered girls like Bunny love old guys. What girls like Bunny? What do you mean?
Hey, what is that? See,
What
that's
does that mean?
grass-fed is being mean.
Bunny, I was curious about this
feel
because the
terrible.
community
I quit.
on the Discord,
I'm
they
done.
ask all the
I'm
time
done.
about the Bunny Jaffe, situation. Do you think you like Jaffe at this ripe old age, or do you think you liked him when he was a bit younger?
Jeffy's
Have you
fun how he is.
How he is? Have you seen? I'm gonna share my screen, Jaffe, if you can show it on the telly.
Oh, Lord, what's happening?
Click on this, Bunny. Have you seen this before?
I just clicked it. There you go.
Game director and alleged psychopath David Jaffe. I'm here to tell you about the epic return of gaming's most
Goddamn right.
depraved franchise.
Yeah, can you imagine introing a promo for your game? You're like, game director and alleged psychopath.
Keep going.
David
Watch when
Jaffe.
I pick up the gun.
Now on PlayStation
You want to
3.
see something?
Look at it, Bunny.
So why am I standing in the middle of a
Goddamn
desert?
right.
Because I'm about to start blowing up. And by I mean Sweet Tooth's ice cream truck and a whole lot of other too.
Look at him.
I get this gun, I got a ton of bullets.
This was a terrifying gun to shoot.
Till it's gone.
Well, don't say that. It ruins the illusion.
Well, what illusion?
Isn't that so cool?
I am a badass. a real badass will admit to the fact that was scary, but I still did it.
So
No,
I've
it
been
wasn't
going
scary,
through-
Bunny. It was not scary. It was easy.
Wasn't scary.
I was going through old Jaffe clips, right? I'm trying to build a compilation video I'm going to put onto the YouTube channel. But there's this one where he goes to like this Game Awards thing, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, everyone else had PowerPoints and this little presentation. I don't got that. I was busy defending women. Anyways, let's get on to my game.
What?
Yeah, you walked on stage and like within 10 seconds, you're like, yeah, good to be here. Sorry, I've been real busy. I don't have like a presentation or a slideshow like these other guys. I've been busy defending women.
I think it
And
was
you're just like,
I think it was offending women.
I thought I said defending women.
No, because people said I said something bad about women and they were idiots because I didn't.
Oh, that's even more solid. And then there's another one where he gets on stage.
What is this?
He's like, by the way,
this is your-
everyone.
yeah.
It's a project I'm working on. And he's like, by the way, everyone, my mom's watching the show on GameSpot. If everyone could just do me a favor, on 3, can you say, hey, Bobby? I don't know why she likes to be called Bobby, but here we go. Do you remember doing this, Jaffe?
I do, but why is this fun? Let's get to the topics. Keep going.
He doesn't like talking about himself.
I
But
do.
yeah, he gets the whole
Look, guys, I'm telling you something. I've had a very, what happened to Bunny?
fun time.
It was fun. Yeah, but you know,
This was on my Facebook, so I covered my name. But the post says, "I'm the happiest girl in America, downtown USA." And look what I got.
where's that from? Come back. Let me see that. What is that?
It's
Was
her
that
with
from a
Twisted
long
Metal.
time ago?
It was, yeah. And the post says, "I'm the happiest girl in America, downtown USA."
Bunny's my favorite girl they ever made. My favorite one. You're my favorite girl that anybody ever made. I'm happy again.
Bunny, can you believe he went up on stage for like a Game Awards thing or presentation, and he's like, "Everyone say hi to my mom. She's watching. 1, 2, 3.
that's so
Hi,
sweet.
Bobby." It's so sweet. Look at this guy.
Yeah, and then what did I say after though? Come on, there's the punchline.
Yeah, he's like, "That's fucking great." Or
No, I didn't
something.
say that. I said you just gave an old lady in Alabama an orgasm.
There you go. I stopped it there. I didn't know there was a
Oh,
bit at the end.
Come on. Anyway, the point is, fellas, yeah, I don't know. It's been a rough. You know what? Let's bring our guest on. I have topics, but I have had a very, I fucked up and had a very long day, and I've done 3 streams and a podcast already, and I know you're tuning in and going, Who gives a shit? Entertain us, dummy. And I get it. But I'm just being honest with you guys, and I want to introduce our new friend. Now, I don't know what to call you, only because your actual name, is that how you want to be addressed, or
The Reaper?
just Reaper? Oh, we can't hear
Mike
him.
muted.
Reaper's
go.
fine, honestly. My
Okay.
actual name's Steven, so
This
Hell
is
yeah.
all right. Well, here is the Reaper. Reaper reached out to me, and he said, "Oh, I don't need to get drunk. I should smoke some pot. I've had a long day." Bunny's like, "What's stopping you?" But you reached out to me and said, "Hey, would you guys ever want to talk about prison stories on the show?" And you told me a couple ones that seemed pretty interesting. And then I said, "How do you know all this? Why don't you tell the kids what you did, Reaper, in a previous life?"
for about 5 years, I was a prison guard up in Montana and saw some funny stuff, some horrifying stuff, some stuff that I kind of shoved underneath a rug. But I just kind of thought it'd be fun to bring it out on Madhouse because you seem like my kind of people.
I love these stories. Oh, volume up. Let me get your volume up. Hang on a second. This should do it. So, what kind of prison was it that you were a guard in?
So it was a private prison. They were, it wasn't max. We did have a segregation unit, but it was minimum security and medium security. So what that means is we've got guys that they're in for life, but they're not necessarily supposed to be the violent guys per se. They've done some time in prison, and now they're kind of, okay, we're good behavior guys. We're going to bring you up here, and you can serve some time here. That being said, beefs happen in a prison anywhere you go, and things do happen.
What were the kind of crimes that these people committed to be in this particular prison?
Oh, it was all over the board. I mean, we had guys that were in there for check fraud. We had guys that were in there for murder. We had guys that were in there for serial murder. The guy that you were talking about that burned his house down for the insurance money, I met him in Montana.
Okay. But wait a minute. You guys had serial murderers in there, but it wasn't maximum. How do you get into a prison like yours if you've been a serial murderer?
So they actually rate them off of a scale. So you can get life in prison and you can be on the yard with the other inmates. If you get the death sentence, that's when they put you in segregation and you're only in a max facility. I did work in the state prison, which they had minimum, maximum, and the kind of that halfway mark, but that one was across the board. There's not very many prisons in Montana. So you've got the main prison, you've got the main men's, the main women's, and then you've got jails. And then you've got the private prison. There's one private prison in the state of Montana. There's one male prison and one female prison. The rest of them are jails that the state pays and says, hey, we need you to help us out with beds because we're screwed with people that are coming into prison. We need you to help out with beds. We'll buy this many beds from you for X amount of money. You treat these inmates as prison inmates, and we'll go from there.
Does it ever, does the artifice of the whole thing, especially when it's privatized, ever just feel like, do you ever kind of distance yourself from it and go, these are just people and my job is to somehow ride herd over other human beings that these laws have said they're not good enough to be? I mean, there's kind of an absurdity to the whole thing in some ways, isn't there?
There is. That's actually why I left. So I was actually telling the officials in Montana there's one way that you can actually rehabilitate offenders. And that is if you tell them, pick a plot on the map. You came from, say, Billings. You pick a plot on the map that's 100 miles away or further. We'll pay. We'll help you get there. We'll help you get set up. We'll help you find an apartment, a job, all that, whatever. We'll set you up over here, over 100 miles away, which is going to be a decent drive. And 9 times out of 10, you're going to have that offender that goes, you know what? I don't want to try to find the drugs, my friends, the gang. I want to get out and get clean. But what they do is they take them and they say, okay, you came from Billings, we're going to send you back to Billings. Well, now he doesn't have to look. He knows all of his friends. He knows where all the hookups are.
Right.
He's going to fall right back into that trouble.
Yeah.
At the private prison, if I told them I don't want to see you here again, I got in trouble.
But because
And-
that's their business, of course they want to see them there again.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
most of the time, within 2 years in Montana, within 2 years, there was an 85% return rate to the prison.
And what was the moment then that you recognized I can't keep doing this? Like, was there a very clear moment where you're like, oh my God, no fucking way? Or did it just build up over time?
It just built up over time. I worked for 2.5 years at the private prison, worked for a year at the jail, and then I worked for another 1.5 years, 2 years at the state prison. And over time, just watching everything kind of build up. One of the stories I have is from the jail, and kind of seeing how the guy was treated just shook me to my core a little bit. It was like, you know, I mean, I know why a lot of these guys are in here. Some of them made a one-time dumb decision. Some of them, they just continuously were living that lifestyle. And others just, it kind of wrong place, wrong time for them. And it just kind of hit me that that's not really the place I want to be in that profits off of that.
Right, right. That's the weird part to me is the profitability of it. So when do you form relationships, I imagine, with the prisoners and some of the ones that you're like, why are you even in here, in the sense that you're like, this is a good person. What is how do you, or do you consciously keep a distance emotionally with these people? Because you see them all every day, right?
Mm-hmm. So you have to build a wall between yourself and them. Now, the way I would do it is I had my work persona. So I walk into work and everything's like water off my back. You're going to say anything you want to me. I'm not going to take it personal. And I'm just going to keep doing my job. But I also learned that when you treat people with respect and you listen to them, you get treated with respect. And they like that a lot more. I mean, by the time I was done, I had inmates that, because Montana is, well, everyone will say it's a big state, it's a small state, really.
Yeah.
So they were
Population-wise,
they were moving inmates through every part of it. So if you worked in any part of the prison system in Montana, you would know almost every inmate that passed through.
Okay.
If you were in the male, you'd know most of the males that were living in the male prisons.
Right.
The female prisons, there's the one female prison and then the jails, but you don't really get to know them if you don't work in a jail or work in the female prison. But I mean, it was very interesting. Just
But did it ever, like, when I hear you describe it, because I've never talked to a prison guard ever before now. And so when I hear you describe it, it seems almost so surreal. Like, it reminds me of kids, like when we were kids playing like Knights and Dragons and shit. And it's like, I've captured you, you're in the dungeon or whatever. And it's like, it's not real. It's just these rules that we make up. And there's this company now that's built this building, and you have to live in this small little room in this building because I say so. And there's people that can beat you up and hurt you if you don't live. And it's just like, this is a fellow human being on the planet. I get it if someone's like a monster and they're going to hurt someone. But a guy who passed a bunch of fraudulent checks, it just, I don't know. There's something that just, I don't think my mind could square it. Bunny, what you agree? I mean, it seems weird, right?
Yeah, I agree. I've always thought it's weird. I've always thought just laws in general. Like, who says? Who says I can't do that?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and then to be
Not me.
forced into like you have no freedom for the rest of your life because somebody else just said so. Like,
Yeah, who the fuck
it
are
makes me feel
you?
sick.
Yeah, and there's
I
some.
don't like it.
I'm with you. I get
And
it.
there's
That's
no
how
way
it
out
should
of it.
work.
That's the part
Yeah.
I hate.
That's not how
I
it
hate-
should work. That's how it.
Yeah, that's how it should.
That's how it has to work, maybe. But I don't think it should work that way.
When
But
you see the way a lot of other places do their prison systems and they actually rehabilitate people and help them get back into society and like they're good, like it's like, okay, then why are we doing it the way we're doing it? Because it
'Cause
obviously
it's
does
a
not help
different
anybody.
culture.
The repeat people
it's
going
a-
back in, it's
it-
crazy.
It's a
Like,
different
there's
societal
gotta be a
culture,
way.
Bunny. Like, there's not a.
well, yeah, well,
There's a way to fix
the
that.
societal culture is the money. The societal culture says the fact that we have, and no offense, because I know they paid your bills for a long time, but the fact that we allow private prison systems should just be not even an issue of it's illegal. It's the most it shouldn't exist. I know in California, I think they passed a law that we're starting to get rid of the private ones, but it seems insane to me.
Dead Score, thank you for $20 for the Madhouse
Hey,
crew.
thank you,
Always
Dead.
keeping it crazy and fun.
Thank you, Dead Score. We appreciate. Hit the ghost. We appreciate that very much, buddy. Thank you so much. Very kind and courteous.
I don't
I don't-
know if this will surprise you or not, but we are the only country in the world where a life sentence means that you're going to die in prison. The only country in the world.
Well, what
Every other
else? What else
country-
does it mean? I'm confused.
Every other country in the world, a life sentence is 20 to 25 years.
No matter what you do.
No matter what you do. If you get a life sentence, you're in for 20 to 25 years and then you're out. Because other countries, if you do something that warrants a legitimate life sentence where you should die in prison, they'll just give you the death penalty.
Got it. Okay.
So every other country in the world, if you get a life sentence, you can expect to either die in prison because you pissed off the wrong person and gang and all that, or you can expect to be released within 20 to 25 years.
Did Bunny put taxation is theft in the in the chat?
Yes, I'm getting heated. We're rioting. We're upset about the taxes. We're upset about the law.
No, we're not. No.
Taxation.
We are in the chat.
Okay, well, look. What about, did you guys have, like, I mean, the thing that I think is just the most staggering that we allow is like solitary confinement. Did you guys have that in your prisons? And I mean, to me, that seems like, I mean, people could go crazy depending on how long they're in there. Was that
They
something
do.
you had much experience with in terms of with prisoners?
That's actually what I had the most experience with. So at the private prison, when you would lock somebody up for an offense, the most you could give them was 30 days
And just what does that
Because-
mean? 30 days of what?
of isolation. So
Which-
you
yeah,
can
but what
stick
is
them in
that?
their
What does that
own-
mean? How big's the room? What do they see?
Oh.
You know, what do they get to do?
The room is, I'd say it's probably about 10 by 10. So it's a small room.
Okay.
And it includes your toilet. It includes your sink for hand washing. And it has one bunk because you're not allowed to have a cellmate. And you've got a window that's about this big, by about that. And you've got a food slot that's about that by that. And the most interaction you're going to get is me walking by your cell, looking in your window to see if you're alive. Other than that, you get offered a shower once a day. And that's just offered. If you're asleep, it don't matter. You don't get it offered again. That shower is a 10-minute shower. You get offered an hour, half an hour, an hour of rec time. which is offered once a day. So again, if you're asleep and you miss it, the officers aren't going to go around and ask you again. Basically, it was you get 30 days in there of you can read a book. Maybe the chaplain comes by. Maybe your sergeant comes by and talks to them. But most of the time, they're just sitting there in silence, either reading or working out.
And when they emerge from that, do they show signs of like mental distress, or like what's the result of solitary confinement when you actually pull them out of there?
When you actually pull them out, a lot of times they're happy to be out of there. There's you get some of the guys that they've been in there so long that, like the death penalty, they will never get out of solitary confinement. They're stuck in there 23 hours a day, period. They will never come out of solitary. And the only interaction they get is when they go to the rec yard, which is a chain link fence between them and another prisoner. And they've got a little run area that's almost like a dog run. If you know, like a 10 by 10 dog run.
Yeah.
That's what they've got for rec. And there's nothing in there. There's no weights. We don't give them anything to play around with. They don't get like a foosball or anything. They're just stuck in there with a dog run. They go in there and they can grab the top of the chain link if they've practiced enough, and they can do pull-ups on the chain link, which I've seen them do. They can do crunches like that. They can do sit-ups. They can do push-ups. But basically all it is for them to get out of their cell and have that little bit of a walk from their cell out to the rec yard and enjoy that free, fresh air out in the rec yard instead of smelling the inside of the prison for that whole 24
and
hours.
that's because they are in prison they have the death penalty, and eventually they're going to go to the electric chair.
Yep, but in the state of Montana, the death penalty is still on hold right now. So basically, they're just in there. We've got one guy that's been on death row since the 90s, and he's still waiting on his execution date because they have stayed his execution for so long. And then now they're debating whether they actually want to keep the death penalty in Montana or abolish it completely.
But he was in solitary the whole time?
Yep, and he's still in solitary.
Wow.
He
Did you
actually
ever talk to him, or you weren't allowed? I know you looked in to make sure he was alive, but could you stop and go, "Hey, Billy, how's your day?" So you are allowed to talk to him even though he's in solitary.
Yep. If we wanted, so what I would do is I'd actually stop by and I'd have conversations with them every time I did my rounds.
Yeah.
And I did my rounds about every half hour or so, but I always made sure it wasn't clocked, because that's another thing. You want to make sure that they can't go, "Oh, it's 10:01. He's not going to be back around for another 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. I can do something." Or
Exactly.
So,
I'd always offset it. But whenever I did my rounds, I'd stop and I'd talk with him for 5-10 minutes at a time. And it was real interesting to hear his story. He actually led the there was a prison riot at the Deer Lodge prison in Montana back in the 90s.
Okay.
And if you look it up, you can actually figure out all the information and ins and outs and everything. But he led that riot with the person he got caught with. So they were in for murder. And there
because
was a guy,
people died during the riot, or
no, because he killed people on the outside.
Okay.
And so he was already on death row. He was in solitary waiting on trial because he was so dangerous with his other compatriot that they'd caught him with. And they were in cells kind of close to each other. And so they would talk through the cell back and forth. Well, they found out that across the way is the rat that's giving all the information as to them being charged with more crimes. And so they said, okay, well, let's figure out how to get this guy and kill him so we don't get more time.
Oh, okay.
Well, they devised a way where they went out to wreck at the same time, and they'd figured out how to bend the bars just enough because the officers wouldn't pay attention. And so they bent the bars, they got through that gate, got out. Well, all the complacency of the officers, which is where I get the saying complacency kills, and I don't ever like getting complacent, they left all the doors open.
Okay.
And so these guys get out, they take the guards out.
Like killed them?
Well, one of them they killed, one of them they had taken hostage. The third officer that was on that floor had locked himself in another room.
Okay.
Well, the officer that they had taken hostage, they used him to get the key because only one of them had the key, and that was the officer who locked himself in the room. So they used this officer to talk to this officer to get his key, threw both of them in the cell together.
Okay.
They took that key and they unlocked all the doors
All of the prison cells.
in that area.
Oh my God. These guys.
Now
These guys were good. You got to give them some credit. Damn.
Yep. Well, they couldn't get out because you've got what we call pod control. And that pod control is at the end of the hallway. And so they've got access to every cell in this hallway, but they can't get out of this hallway without pod control.
Okay. Okay.
Okay? Pod control hits all the buttons,
Yeah, yeah,
opens
yeah.
all the doors, opens hallways, and opens everything up for the officers as they're passing through.
Right.
Well, they took a fire extinguisher, and the prison had upgraded the windows but didn't tell anybody that they'd upgraded the windows. So the inmates take this fire extinguisher and they smash the window. Well, it's glass on one side, glass on the other, and Pyrex in the middle.
Okay.
So they smash this window.
And they're
both
doing it because
sides-
what? They want to get out? They want to now leave? Okay. Okay.
Well, because they want to kill this guy. They still can't
Okay.
get out.
Okay.
They won't be able to get out without having the main prison control
Got it.
Yeah.
let them out. So they're not planning on getting out. They're
Okay.
like, I don't care. We'll stay
die.
in here, but
Yeah,
we're
okay.
going to kill this guy.
Okay. Jesus.
So they slam into the window. The glass on this side breaks. The glass on this side breaks. The officers freak out thinking they've already made it through into pod control, so they take off up onto the roof.
Okay.
They don't take the keys.
Oh my God. Wait, you're not here during this though. You're not working
No.
yet. Okay.
No,
okay.
I'm not working yet.
Okay.
And so they make it up onto the roof. While the inmates, there's still Pyrex. There's still that Pyrex window that they have to get through and to get into pod control. So what they do, which I don't know why they still allow powdered coffee creamer, but if you've ever dealt with powdered coffee creamer, it's flammable.
Oh man. Okay.
Oh.
So they start making a flamethrower out of coffee creamer and a lighter that they'd found. And
How
they've
wait,
made a
how
little-
does that even work? You blow it out of
So
your
they made a-
mouth, or what do you do?
Nope, so they made a little fire that they put the coffee creamer into like a rolled up sheet of paper,
Mm-hmm.
and they were blowing that
Oh
coffee
my
creamer through
God.
the fire.
Okay, this
Freaking
was a
engineering.
very exciting life. I know nothing about life. This is exciting. This is like movie shit. Keep going.
And so they pressed the button that opens up the door because they'd managed to make a big enough hole. They didn't have to melt the whole window. They just had to melt enough of a hole to get their hand through to hit the button.
Yeah.
They pushed the button, they opened the door, and now they've got access to every room
Wow.
in that building. So they opened up every cell in that entire building. And in total, I think they said it was like 23 people died. They would, there's two stories, and what they would do to a lot of them is they'd take like electrical cords, the extension cords,
Yeah.
wrap it around their neck, and tell them to jump off the second story. And if they wouldn't jump, they had makeshift knives, which we call shivs.
Yeah.
And they'd give them a Colombian necktie, which you slit across the throat, grab the tongue, and pull it through that cut. Only one person survived that because when he had his tongue pulled through, they didn't pull it through all the way. And he managed to act dead long enough to grab a sheet after they walked out of the cell and stick it right there and hold it to keep the blood in.
Holy fuck, dude. Now, wait a minute, though.
Yep.
The people they were killing,
Mm-hmm.
the 23 people who died, they died at the hands of these two guys, or when all the doors
No, at the hands
opened,
of
people just
everybody.
went crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody just went ham. And
Wow.
they show you pictures of it in training and they tell you the whole story. And they say, well, this is why you don't want to get complacent. This is why you want to keep up and you want to make sure that you're doing everything right. Because if you get complacent, not necessarily this, but something like this might happen. And you could be the one that let it happen because you left that door open.
Right.
Or you did that, and that allowed them to come through and do this.
So, okay, well, here's what's funny. In the chat, Electric Angel says, LOL, you believe this guy? I am almost certain if I look up Montana Prison Massacre, it's going to be there.
Deer Lodge, Montana State Prison, Deer Lodge Prison Riot.
Yeah, he didn't claim to be there. He said they told him about it during his training.
And now, let's see. Yeah, it's all right here. It's all right here. They closed it down since that one, obviously. And this was in 1960, so this was a while ago.
There was one that was, hold on, there's the old prison, there's the new prison.
There's 5 killed in Montana prison uprising, 1991. 5 guards taken hostage, freed unharmed. 8 inmates injured. They sent in the National Guard.
The National Guard had to break it all up and go in with the bean bags and the...
Yeah, so
Right.
there's different reports on the number of people who died. You're saying there's 23 deaths at this thing.
That's what they told us in training. It might have been beefed up because they
Right.
wanted to scare us a little bit more, but we did see the pictures of the blood, and
Yeah.
of course, I mean, blood, you can look at something and it can be like one person or it could be a lot
Right.
more.
So
than that.
you're guarding this guy though, one of the guys.
Mhm.
And so you come in there and you're like, this guy was capable of doing these things that you had been told about in training. Are you sitting there going, like, was your guard always up? Did you look at him like Hannibal Lecter, or was he just a guy? I mean, like, how did you relate to this guy who you knew he had done all these and would probably do it to you, I imagine?
Yeah, honestly, at first, I think my guard was always up. And then, like, I did get complacent around some of the inmates, but it was always in a sense of, I know you can do this and you're capable of doing it, but I'm also not going to not treat you like a human. Like, one of the guys we had, there's a dateline on him. He killed a chick because the voices in his head told him to.
Okay.
Because he gave her his last cigarette.
Okay.
And that was the whole reason he killed her, was he gave her his last cigarette and the voices in his head told him to kill her. We had another guy who, for whatever reason, he was at a party with his friends. This kid's like barely 19. He was at a party with his friends. He got high on something. He doesn't remember what he took. All he remembers is he woke up and he's covered in blood and all his friends are dead.
Holy shit.
Wow.
And so he went and turned himself into the police. And he's like, that. All I can remember is I woke up and they were dead.
And so
it-
he's in jail forever for this.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
And I mean, there's the people that I look at that it's like, okay, where would I draw the line? Like, I've been in trouble. I got pulled over by cops all the time.
Right.
And so what's to make the difference between me being behind those bars and me being on this side?
Right.
And so I'd always have that personability with them, and I'd try to make sure that I treated them as kindly as humanly possible without crossing a barrier of personability, because you don't want them to know where you live. You don't want them to know,
Right.
Okay, you're married, you've
Family.
got kids.
Right.
Exactly. And so it's kind of like you want to treat them as nice as humanly possible without crossing that boundary. So you're not telling them, oh yeah, my wife's at home, she's cooking dinner, I've got 3 kids, this one's in high school, this one's in middle school, this
Right.
one's in elementary school,
Did you
And-
did you determine, like, okay, the guy in solitary, that's how you treat him, but the guy who passed some fraudulent checks, could you be a little looser, or was it a one size fits all kind of mentality you had to have with these guys?
You could be a little bit looser. You kind of want to have that stringent, they're not going to know I'm married.
Yeah.
They're not going to know if I've got any kids. But I live in town. As opposed to, you don't know where I live. I could live 30 minutes away. I could live
Right.
45 minutes away. We had people we have one sergeant at the Montana State Prison who lived in Wyoming, and she would fly from Wyoming into Deer Lodge, get a hotel, and drive into Deer Lodge prison for the 5 days that she worked, and then she'd fly back home to Washington.
Just to
After
put
her
some,
shift was
because
done.
she wanted to put that much distance.
Yep.
Interesting.
And so you've always got that thing you have to watch out for.
Right.
My biggest issue turned out to be more than just the inmates. You had to watch out for other staff.
Why?
Like, you hear all the stories of, you've got this officer sleeping with inmates, this officer's bringing in
Really?
contraband, this officer's doing this officer's doing that. We had one guy who manipulated 3 guys and 4 females at the Montana State Prison. And he's teaching other inmates how to manipulate.
Why
these
would he
staff
do
members.
that? What was in it for him?
Because in Montana, I don't know how it is across the U.S., but in Montana, you can actually sue personally the officer. So I'm in a position of power. I sleep with an inmate, whether it's consensual or not,
Right.
it's now rape.
Mm-hmm.
They can now sue me for raping them. On top of me losing my job and going to prison,
Okay.
I can now be held financially liable.
What
And
did I
so
miss?
the state.
Okay. So what's in it? So what's in it for this guy who's teaching all these criminals?
He
How
gets
to.
a cut. He gets a
Okay.
cut for the commissary because he won a $1.3 million lawsuit against the state of Montana because when they found out that the 4 women were sleeping with him and bringing in contraband and drugs and whatever else, he turned around and sued the state and said, well, you let it happen.
Got it.
And so he was awarded 1.2 million or something like that in a lawsuit. And And so they get what they want. They can use it as leverage. So they can get contraband into the prison. They can get cell phones. They can get drugs. They can get what they want. On top of, if they get caught, well, I'm not going to have anything happen to me.
Right.
You're going to have it happen to you.
Got it.
So
what about all the stories or the myths about the sex in prison, right? Don't drop the soap and all that. I mean, how real is that kind of male on male prison rape kind of thing? Because that's always the sort of trope.
So it does happen. I do have one story about that. But as far as that goes, there is now a thing federally called the PREA, the Prison Rape Elimination Act.
Okay.
But that being said, some people still don't care. That's what they use when an officer is sleeping with an inmate or an inmate sleeps with an inmate. Whether it's consensual or not, it can't be consensual in prison.
Okay.
Is what they say. So I had a trainer who walked across 3 guys in the cell.
Okay.
And he walks by the cell and he sees something that looks off, so he backpedals because he's just doing a quick check, looks in, looks out, and walks.
Okay.
Well, he saw something he didn't like, and so he backed up and he looks in, and there's 2 guys on top of a 3rd inmate.
Okay.
They're covered in blood and feces, and the 2 guys just look over and they smile and they wave. And so he shuts the door and calls for backup and have backup come and pick him up. But so it does
happens,
happen.
but it's not every day.
No, not every day. It's not something that's common nowadays. Nowadays, it's more of you get the inmate that, oh, I fancy you, so I'm going to use you. Or like what they do, one thing you have to be really wary about is commissary. You're a new inmate. Well, you don't have commissary yet, but you want that Kool-Aid. You want that coffee. You want that candy or that whatever. Here, I'll give it to you. Don't worry about it. I got you. You can pay me back when you start getting your commissary. Oh, it happened again. Well, first time, kind of let it go by, but now you're going to have to do something for me. Oh, what? Oh, well, just, I'll see you a little after lockdown. And so you get it to where in their head, it's like, okay, well, I have to pay back this debt. This guy gave me commissary, now he's going to rape me to get his payback unless I can actually pay him back.
Right.
And so the biggest thing is you never take commissary from another inmate because you never know what they're trying to do.
Right.
You never know if it's a good intention or not.
What is the acclimation average? Like, I imagine if you get sent to prison, you are so thrown for a loop. Your whole life just is probably so different that I imagine you're almost in a state of shock for X number of weeks, days, months. How long does it tend to take someone to start to go, this is my new normal?
On average, I've seen about 2 or 3 months.
And before that, what are they doing? Like, what's their behavior like, or what do they say?
They're acting like they're going to get out, like everything's, they got the evidence wrong, they got it screwed up, I'm going to get out, I'm going to be out of here in a couple days. They're just trying to figure it out. My lawyer's got my back, my lawyer's going to get me out of here, he's telling me I'm going to be out. I just have to look forward to the next couple days and I'll be out. And then those days go by, And they're going, okay, well, it's just taking a little bit longer than normal. He'll have me out. My lawyer will have me out. I just have to look forward to my lawyer's going to get me out of here. And so you've got that. That happens for about the first, I'd say 2 or 3 weeks. After that, they're going, okay, well, my family's going to fight for me. My family's going to tell my lawyer and get my lawyer in on it and get the police to relook at the evidence and whatever, because they're all innocent. Everybody's innocent. Nobody's guilty. That's another thing of prison is everybody in prison is innocent. Everybody's got a story as to why they didn't do it, even if they were caught red-handed. So...
But okay, in all your time doing this, did anyone ever actually get out? Like
I've had a few.
Early like that? Like, hey, my lawyer was right. It's been 3 days and I'm out?
Not that early, no.
Okay.
No. We had one when I left the prison in Montana. He was still fighting, but he had the... there's a group of lawyers that they'll do pro bono work if you're innocent, like the Innocence Project or something like that. And he said he had them looking into his situation. He'd been in prison for going on 13 years, and he swears up and down he's innocent. He swears up and down the evidence was wrong, that they had submitted something that showed that he was in a completely different state at the time that this happened. So there's no way he could have done it, but it wasn't submitted right or something is what he was saying, and that's why they put him in prison.
Okay.
And you kind of have to look at that with a grain of salt, because he might be telling the truth, because we had a guy, they had to release him after 25 years, I think it was. It was some insane amount of time that he was in prison. They had to release him because they actually had somebody in prison that was guilty of the charge they had charged him with and found him guilty.
Okay.
This
After
other guy
25 years, though.
Yeah. They found out that this other guy was the one that did it.
Yeah. Quick little break. We are at 14 out of the 15 gifted memberships for Jeff to do a demo after the stream.
Excellent. Well, let's keep it rolling. We got one. If we get one more, we're going to do one horror demo. For every 15, we got another horror demo. There was great horror video games demos released. And you're going to want to see some of these if you like horror games. So we'll be doing that after the show. So absolutely.
Going to update it to 14 out of 15, Jaffe?
Yeah, let me do that right now.
Are you going to do clam makeup at 15? At this 15?
Yeah, what's
I would do clam makeup at 15.
Reaper, do you know that Bunny is, other than my children, let's see. I can't say how old.
Bunny is the other to your children. That's true.
I was going to do an age thing, but let me say this. Do
say
you
how
know?
old I am?
No, I don't know how old you are. I don't want to know how old you are. It's none of my business.
It's better that way.
It's none of my
Better
business.
if I don't know, Bunny.
How old do I think you are?
TJ, thank you for the gifted. We have now made the first haunted horror game.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Hey, Dark Fortune, thank you so much. What happened?
Choo choo! Members gifted.
All right, thank you guys so much. We got one game unlocked. Reaper, give me 1 second. Let me update these doors here. Okay, that goes back to 0. Thank you guys.
Goes to 1 now because we
At
are
the
now
top.
at 16 for the stream.
You goddamn right. Thank you guys very, very much.
Woo!
Dude, what is going on, man?
Yeah!
Oh my god.
The stories are interesting.
You're
It's just
loopy as fuck, dude.
Reaper has like a slow, methodic voice.
So
We're trying to bring the energy up a little bit.
well, Reaper.
You said so. I said the so.
Reaper had 5 years of having to calm everybody down. Let's make sure the shit doesn't go.
Yeah, I get it. Woo!
Anyway, how old do I think you are, Bunny? I think you're like 28.
Oh.
For what?
Yeah, you're right on. You're spot on.
Yeah.
That's it.
But now Reaper. So we're gonna get into some other topics in just a second, but I'm so fascinated by this because it seems like such a horrific experience to be in that system, and it seems like a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about, like, obviously there are people like those guys you were talking about that would literally pull your tongue through your throat. There are people that just are not able to be out there in society with everybody else. And I get that. I get the value of going, this is not, what we need. But I don't know. There's a lot of them though. Like, how many of them, if you let them out when you were guarding them, what's the percentage of ones that you'd be like, these people are dangerous and they should be locked up, versus the percentage of them that are like, they're just being punished because they did something that the law said they shouldn't do? I'm not saying they should have done it, but
Honestly, there's a lot more of people who do something that's not kosher
yeah.
than there are the people that murder or sell drugs or anything like that. I mean, we had one guy that was locked up for incest. And while personally I don't think that you should be doing incest, I don't see why we would lock you up for incest.
Yeah, you'd lock somebody up for raping someone who may or may not have been a relation, but if it was consensual adults, it's weird. I don't like it, but I don't like a lot of things,
Yeah, exactly.
Lock him up. Lock him away.
Did being in that system and now being away for it, my last few questions on this, because I've been watching with great unease a lot of these ICE agents going around and collecting people off the streets all over America, and a lot of the citizens seem to be fighting back and pushing back within reason. Obviously, the minute they start throwing flashbangs, it doesn't matter, unless you've got your own weapons. Did it change your view on policing or things like ICE and things like did you become more conservative, less conservative about your views on things like this?
I don't think I necessarily became more or less conservative, but I saw a lot more of, we need to train our police better.
Okay.
We don't need to pull funding, but we need to put funding to training. One thing is, a lot of our police force doesn't know how to deal with anyone in a mental situation. So if they're having like schizophrenic breakdown, we had an officer who charged a guy with assault on an officer because he threw a coffee mug 3 feet away this way while the officer's over here. And he got charged with assault on an officer.
Yeah, fuck that guy. That's intent.
Shut up, Tech. Shut up, Tech.
It's the truth.
It is not the truth. What are you talking about? Are you
the truth?
You're just pushing.
I shot a gun that way. The officer was this way. He still shot a gun in the general direction.
No, it wasn't the general direction.
Item. 3 feet? 3 feet's close. I threw a mug at a dude 3 feet from me.
You're pressing buttons to get a rise.
I'm not.
He threw it 3 feet out, Tech.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that guy's an asshole.
Way.
No, he's
90 degrees.
Reaper, he's pressing buttons. I think he needs to go into solitary.
Nah, that guy had it coming.
Well, but yeah, I would agree with you on the policing and the need for that for sure. I've told the story before, but my daughter's previous guy she was dating, I don't even know if it is fair to call him a boyfriend, but this guy did a health check on her because he was fucking with her. She was fine. But we had the cops show up at like 5 a.m. and I was so happy that they showed up with a therapist or a social worker that travels with them for these calls. And they're like, yeah, we're a pilot program. They don't do it all over the country yet. But so instead of just these big beefy dudes showing up like, what the fuck? They got their own set of skills, but probably sitting down and emoting with what at the time was a 16-year-old girl going through a breakup with the guy who was out of his fucking mind. that's probably not one of their strong suits, you know? And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
they bring this therapist, and she was great, and they talked, and she's like, she's fine. She's a teenage girl going through her first breakup. She's good to go. Leave her alone. And they left, and it was great. So I'm with you. I absolutely think so. What about dogs? You think dogs should go into solitary like Bobo Brown? Look at Bobo Brown sitting there acting like he's not guilty of all the crimes in the universe of being so cute. You can't be that cute and get away with it, Bunny Button. Huh?
That's the only thing he's guilty of.
Oh, look at that little
anything
sweet
wrong.
baby.
Look at the little thing.
You're happier now that you're out of this?
A lot happier now that I'm out of it.
What do you do now? What is your world now?
Well, right now I'm actually going to school to become an electrician,
Okay.
but that's mainly because my back is so screwed from everything I've been doing over the years that
Yeah.
doctors told me I can't do what I've been doing, otherwise I'll end up either paralyzed or having a lot of surgery on my back.
Were you a big dude at one point? Because usually when you think of prison guards, you think of like, I'm going to be able to hold my own, but you don't look like a big dude.
I don't look like a big dude, but I'm 6'7".
But you're skinny. You look skinny.
I'm skinny, but I've had a lot of situations where I've had to hold my own, and I've got retard strength. I don't know where it comes from, but
I don't know what that is.
so basically I'm a lot stronger than I look.
Okay. Okay.
Even though I'm a beanpole, I can hold my own.
Okay.
I had a 250-pound football player, 18-year-old in high school, try to take me on because he heard I was a prison officer after I quit. And I went and worked on a troubled kids ranch.
Okay. And he's like,
And-
I want to see if I can take this guy. Was it a friendly thing, or was it like, I'm going to kick your fucking ass?
It was more of a friendly thing, but
Okay.
he was trying to put his all into it because he was like, well, I want to take you down, and
Right. And what happened?
I tapped him every time.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So, except for one time, the first time I didn't tap him was because we were on a concrete floor, and I didn't want to get in trouble with
Right.
the youth ranch, and I was like, well, I can't go too hard on him, so I gotta release a little bit, and he tapped me, and then after that, I was like, nah, I don't care, I can get in trouble, and I tapped him. And
Yeah.
I've also learned there's a bunch of different pressure points you can use, which I'm not fair at, so I use some of the pressure points, but
Got it. Okay. Well, I'm glad you're out, and I'm glad you're moving into different things. And I am so grateful to have had this conversation. Thank you for reaching out, because
Yeah.
this is a world that, and I think to most people, is foreign. You see it on TV, you hear about it, but I've never stepped foot in a prison in my life to visit anyone, to be in there. It's just like, so yeah, the fact that these guys who did this prison riot, that they sound like movie characters. They sound like the Joker from Batman. And the fact that there's a guy out there still right now in solitary that did these things and just seemed to be okay with it. I get why a lot of people who encounter shit like that support certain laws and things. And I don't know what the solve is. I don't have it, but it's interesting. Okay, let's change topics, though, because look, as much as you want to close your eyes and fantasize about Reaper as your prison guard, I love it. Wink.
Wink.
As much as you want to do that, Tracy in the chat, I see you. He's a man of many talents. He's a man of many interests, as we all are here at the Madhouse. So we are now going to switch gears, and we are going to talk about, we can talk about, here's some choices. I'll give the chat, let's do a poll.
We're doing a poll, everybody.
Do we want to talk about the government disappearing scientists who might know things about zero gravity propulsion? Do we want to talk about, is pornography damaging or is it healthy? There's a new op-ed out about this in the New York Times. Or do we want to talk about bathrooms, toilets, the grossest toilets ever, and bathroom habits and things like that? That's the next choice we have. Also, if you want to see a second game demo this evening, we are looking for how many people, Tech, how many members?
We are currently at 16, which means we've got one.
Yep, we need
And now we're
14
away.
members to join to get game number 2. And these are some crackerjack demos. Do you play any games, Reaper? Are you much of a gamer? Not really.
Kind of. I do. I play COD. I play Destiny 2 right now with my little brother.
Yep.
My condolences on Destiny 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to figure that one out, but I actually recently got out of PlayStation gaming and into computer gaming.
Oh, isn't it so much better? The options are insane that you can play. What about in prison? Did they have video games or not really?
They had handheld games, actually, that they could buy towards the end of my time there. They were starting to get into tablets so they could do, like, FaceTime calls with their family.
That's cool. That's cool.
They were getting into, you'd have a private tablet you could have video games on. The only problem they ran into with that is some people did find a way to hack it and get access to the outside internet.
Yeah, God. I mean, very resourceful people, these prisoners, it's starting to seem like,
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well, it looks like we are going to talk about, is nudie pics bad? And I only bring this up because there was this op-ed in the New York Times called The Delusion of Porn's Harmlessness. And the concept here is, let me put this on the screen. The concept here is that, not nudity, pornography. There we go. George Davis, Vlogs and Gaming, and your viewers. Welcome, buddy. We're glad to have you here, sir. The concept here is that for a long time, lefty progressives like me have been saying pornography it's healthy, it's good, as long as it's like, the people who are engaged in it, it's consensual and all of this. What's the problem? But this person writes this, and I just wanted to kind of bring it up to the chat and bring it up to the panel here and see what you guys think. It says, if one considers how inured American society has become to women's sexualization and objectification, so much so that extremism seems like one of the few ways for an ambitious young sex worker to stand out. It's estimated that pornography can be found on 12% of websites. My guess is those prisoners were looking at a lot of fucking porn all the time. The porn kids view today makes Playboy look like an American Girl dog catalog, one teenager wrote. It often has a focus on violence and dehumanization of women. And the sites that supply it aren't concerned with ethics either. In a column last week, Nick Kristof exposed how Pornhub and its related sites profit off videos of kiddie porn. And I've heard people say that. And Bunny, when you say, I mean, do you know anything? Like, have you heard, can you articulate on this? Because of course, I've been to Pornhub, and I'd like to think it goes without saying I've never typed in anything about children. So where is this connection that a lot of people who seem to be in the know say exist when it comes to pornography and kids on Pornhub?
Yeah. This was an issue some years ago, and a lot of banks actually pulled out of doing business with Pornhub because of it, because they really weren't doing anything to like solve it. They weren't being proactive enough. But people, anybody can create a Pornhub account and upload whatever they want on there pretty much. And there was like a good bit of that on there, and they weren't really doing much to get it off. I think they did eventually wipe it all, and they made the rule where every single person who's in a video has to be ID verified. So that's how they fixed that. But
So
Twitter had the same
it
issue.
wasn't that they were promoting it so much as they just weren't gatekeeping it, and in that there were people that could upload videos and make money off
Yeah.
this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. It says it's hard to not see a connection between porn-trained behaviors, and they give examples: choking, slapping, spitting, that have become the norm even in early sexual encounters, and young women's distrust in young men. And in the future, porn will only become more addictive and effective as a teacher, as VR makes it more immersive and AI allows it to be customizable. Which is true. It says, for a foretaste of where this might end up, you can read a recent essay by a sex worker and researcher on Substack defending AI child adult material. Now, we've talked about this before, though. I struggle with that, because if that's going to keep these people off the streets and keep them from messing with real kids, wouldn't we rather allow that to be something that exists? Okay, so you say no. So what do you?
Well, I feel like I think we'd need to know first if that actually would help, because I feel like it's a dangerous line letting them.
Oh,
have
okay.
any
Well, wait a second.
material
So
like
assuming
that.
that it would not help, of course, then why? Yeah, but
Yeah, but I feel like we'd have to know for sure before, because I feel like
right.
letting them see anything like that could just push them to want the real thing even more.
But if it could help, you would be supportive of it. If it would
we
keep
knew
them from
for
doing
sure
it.
that it. Yeah, but I don't know. There's something about it.
Well, nobody
don't
likes it. I mean, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. I still, yeah.
Okay. What?
Yeah,
You're shaking. Yeah. Reaper. What are you thinking? What are you saying?
So, dealing in Montana with the prisons, you actually do deal with a lot of child predators up there as well. And 9 times out of 10, they'll tell you that they started looking at pictures. That's what aroused them and made them think about actually committing the act.
Okay.
And they
Yeah,
were
so even giving them artificial stuff could still make them want. Yeah. No.
exactly, they were fantasizing about it and wanted to bring that fantasy to life. And
Right.
so they
So
went ahead and did
there were these child predators in the prison that you were guarding, right?
it. Hmm.
And you spoke to them, I assume. Did you ever just come right out and go, why are you doing that to these innocent kids? They don't want this, and you've ruined their lives. Like, I would have the hardest time not going, what were you thinking?
Those would be
So-
ones I'd probably be a little mean to.
Sure.
For the most part, you don't have to. A lot of them, they'll come up, and when they know that you know what they're in for, they'll show remorse. Or they'll say, okay, I don't understand why I did that. I don't know why I did it. There's something wrong with me. And a lot of them will try to play like they are rehabilitated, but you kind of have to look at it and take the rehabilitation with a grain of salt, because they're the main ones that reoffend and come back in anyways. It's them and the drug users. But there's one guy we had that was proud of what he did.
Holy shit.
And
Holy
was so-
shit.
yeah, he was so proud of it. He shopped the entire prison trying to find somebody to do a tattoo for him that he designed.
Which was
Nobody-
what?
Well, he had a band across his face that went from side to side and across the bridge of his nose.
Okay.
It had 12 stars in it because each star represented.
Oh my god. Oh my
Mhm.
god.
He was arrested and charged and found guilty for 11. And he would brag that he got away with the one.
Did he get the shit beaten out of him regularly or no? Because that's also another trope, right? Is that if you're a child molester and you go to prison, you're enemy number one amongst the other prisoners. Is that a truism?
That is a truism. They try to keep the same offenders in that regard with the same offenders for the most part.
Right.
Um, when they would, I had one guy who was a juggalo in for burglary, and he came down the hall, and when you looked at him, you would think he was in for murder, but he was actually in for harmless burglary. He just broke into somebody's house, and they caught him.
Okay.
He didn't have a weapon on him or anything, but he looked really, really vicious. And he came up and started beating the crap out of this guy. And
The guy with who wanted the tattoo?
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
He got the tattoo. It's his own tattoo. He did it himself because nobody would do it for him.
Okay.
So he's got the tattoo now.
Okay.
But I let him have about 5 minutes to himself with this guy before I called for help, because he was the only inmate I could not treat with any kind of humanity or respect, because he would brag, even to the officers, about how he got away with that one. And I couldn't stomach it. So when this guy came down the hall and started beating the piss out of this guy, I just went, take your time. You got 5 minutes.
Did you say that, or that was in your head?
That was in my head.
Right, because I was going to say, you probably don't want to actually say that.
Exactly.
So, okay, wait a minute, though. So the guys who came up to you who expressed remorse, do you think they really felt like, whether or not they were angling for parole or not, do you think they really felt remorse, or was it a total act?
There was one that I thought was actual remorse, because he came up to me and told me that he could not be paroled, and that he didn't want parole because he was afraid that if he got out, it might happen again. Because he said, I can't look at a picture of a kid and not think that way.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, I applaud you for being honest, but that's still sick in the head.
Yeah. What do you got, Tech? What's this?
I want to see if you're familiar with this, Reaper. If you share your screen, Jaffe, for the YouTube.
It's up.
All right. Are you seeing this live stream, Reaper? If you click on it on the Discord.
The bald guy.
Screen from Tech Protect. Let me know you're watching.
All right.
All right.
Man, the crazy shit in jail now, they making Glock dookies.
What?
A Glock dookie. Take a water bottle, and then you just fill it up with piss, shit, sperm, with any kind of fucking body fluid you can, and you just let it sit, and you just let it chill in your room and shit. Anytime you got some beef, you pull it out, and you just spray a motherfucker with that shit. It's so many videos you could just watch of motherfuckers fighting with the Glock dookies. And they say this shit is crazy. It'll clear the whole flow once that shit gets sprayed.
Oh, dude.
So somebody spray you in the face. You ain't fighting no more. They just spraying Glock dookies at each other.
Are you familiar with Glock Dookies, Reaper?
I didn't know that's what they were called, but we did have a few of those that they would do in the jails, more jails than the prisons when I was up there, but I did hear that it was trying to make its way into the prison.
I'm gonna
that
have
comes
a
from,
little
Bud
Glock
Crazy.
dookie right here myself. It's very delightful in the summer. That's disgusting.
They don't drink it, Jaffe. They use
I
it as
do
an act
things
of
my
violence.
own way, idiot.
Anyways, thank you, Bud Crazy, for the Glock Dookie suggestion.
That's something, baby. That's something. Yeah, Eternal says porn and any other entertainment has been studied and shown it's not directly linked to causing people to commit violent or other acts. Well, I hear you, but if this guy or the guy that Reaper was talking to was literally saying it caused me to go to the next step, I mean, maybe those people were anomalies, but, you know, I don't know. But I'll tell you, man, has it changed your view on, like, let's just take pedophiles, right? Like, I do have compassion for these people to a degree because I go, they were, at least my understanding is a lot of these kids were kids that were molested. And that doesn't mean what they're doing in any way, shape, or form should ever be allowed. It's horrific. But I have a hard time only painting them as the monsters they are, right? Because I go, you know, do they want to be that way? I mean, is it a choice? Who makes that choice? You know, you're either born that way and your wiring's fucked up, or you're not, or you get
a choice.
I don't know that because I'm not a molester. I'd like to hope you're not a molester.
It doesn't matter. Like, any action you take as an adult who's like able to exist in society is a choice that you've decided. Okay. Even if it's like an attraction you feel.
My body that would ever want to.
I hear you, not you specifically, but if there's a person who's like, I was born this way and I have this like inclination towards kids, if that's who you are, the action is a choice. Any action is a choice. If you're not some like your brain is so damaged where you need like parental supervision and you need like an assistant in your house 24/7. If you are above that mental capacity, that's a choice.
So even
now, if like someone with like extreme, someone with like extreme Down syndrome who's like, I need help. There's a live-in nurse. I'm not gonna hold that guy accountable for a lot of shit. Maybe this, but like I'm a dude who's like been working in the school system for 20 years and there's like 5 victims. That's a choice. I don't care how much you're attracted to it.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is the impetus to have those choices, if it's built on the bones of their own trauma, I'm just saying I have sympathy because, you know, not for their choices. Well, wait a minute. I don't have sympathy for what they did. I have sympathy for the fact that they went through something that turned them into this
but
thing.
To me, it's kind of like, I don't know, it kind of feels insulting to people who did experience stuff like that as a child and they didn't do something like that.
Sure.
Like,
I am not removing the agency of somebody, no matter how deep the inclination they have to enact any type of violence on someone is like biologically set in their brain. To me, it doesn't matter. If you are of the capacity of a human, you know, psyche,
if
that
you
like,
know right from wrong in anything.
Then fuck you. That was a choice. I don't.
Okay,
have any
so then my
sympathy.
question to Reaper is, dealing with these guys, did any, whether it's pedophiles or any, you know, drug dealers, murderers, did it change your views of, like, did you go into the job a little bit more lenient and progressive when it came to, we should be a little bit less cruel or less restrictive of these people, and did those views change after you had gone through the system for 5 years?
Yeah, answer the question real quick. But first, Mish, thank you for 10 gifted memberships. I love you, Mish.
Mish, thank you, buddy. We're only 4 more away. We're only 4 more away from being able to play 2 horror demos tonight. And Bunny will not play them, but she will comment. And that's worth a lot. You know I've just been teasing you. It breaks my heart, Bunny, to think that you think I was really mean to you.
No, only really.
You know I'm...
Someone the other day in our chat said the reason why there's so much tension is because Jaffe gives off big sub energy.
I don't even know what that means.
Bunny
Sub?
gets it.
I don't read that.
I don't even know what
I'm
that
not picking
means.
sub up.
Do you-
No,
I-
he is way too defiant. He's way too like, I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm
you know
sassy.
how many beatings he would need?
But can you imagine the progress? It would be fantastic. The journey is
You have to
the-
cage him immediately. That's
Well, that's
yeah.
Alien Bobcat's job, Bunny. Thank you very much. You'd have to get
I
a cage.
didn't mean that kind of cage.
Oh, no.
Oh,
I gotta
the
go.
rooster.
I gotta run. But now listen now for a brief moment here. You guys in the chat. Well, see, okay. First, let me address Ghetto God. He says that's like saying being gay is a choice. People who are attracted to minors is the same thing as a guy being attracted to another guy. I don't think. Well, hang on. I agree.
You agree?
But
Quick agree.
But I want you to be clear on what I'm agreeing with. I don't think
about it a little more.
Huh?
Maybe.
Because I'm not equating being gay to being a pedophile or being straight to being a pedophile.
Yeah, say I disagree and then explain your point of view. Don't just say I agree that it's the same thing as being gay. You don't agree to that.
He's not saying it's the same thing as being gay. He's saying that you come to the planet wired with a set
No, sorry,
of...
you're a content creator. You read a direct quote and then you said I agree. Don't say that. Say I disagree to the direct quote and then explain yourself because you're reading into it, which is smart. We all get what he's trying to say, but it's not what he did say.
Okay, but I'm not. I'm not going to kowtow and acquiesce to morons that want sound bites. If you're not smart enough to listen to the
I
whole,
thought I'm your producer, and I'm telling you this is good for you.
What I'm saying is that I don't think anyone is born and says, you know what, I'm 15. It's time to make a choice. Do I like men? Do I like women? Do I like both? Do I like kids? Kids. That does not exist. None of those exist, though. Did you guys go through a test when you were 12, 15, 8, whenever, and say this, So in that, I agree with Ghetto God. But I don't agree that that means just because they feel it, they have a right to do it, because that's basically rape. I mean, no. But I don't think that's what Ghetto God is saying.
I feel like saying stuff like that is the reason why there's like a movement of pedophiles that want to be included in the LGBT.
I don't really think that's a thing. I'm
It
gonna
is
look.
a
I'm
thing.
gonna
I've
look.
seen it on Twitter
It is a
myself.
Okay, well,
thing.
wait a minute. Let's actually look it up and make sure it's not some weird little.
Please,
I've
not on stream.
seen
Stop sharing your
people
screen.
argue-
Okay,
Please
I
do
won't
it.
share my
Like-
screen. Fine, but I
Thank
am
you.
going to look it up.
Yeah, look it up, but
I
just don't
have
share your
seen
screen.
LGBT people arguing with pedophiles on
So have I.
whether or not they should.
Okay,
be
well,
included.
I would almost guarantee you, as someone tangentially related, I have a lot of LGBT folks in my family. I've never met any of them or their friends that think that. I'm sure they can want that.
The LGBTQ. From all I've seen, they are like, no.
Of
you will
course,
never
of
be
course.
Yeah, but it's
they
still an
are
active
vivid
pursuit.
Maps that
Yeah.
they will go around saying they are, and they preach
Sure,
that they
but there's a
are.
whole organization called NAMBLA that
know, I'm just
Cold
saying
called
it.
Sony, by the way, and blanketed all of us at Sony when we had answering machines before cell phones, and we all got in on Monday, and it was the creepiest thing. It was like everybody got the same message. It was this Indian sounding accent going, "Hello, this is NAMBLA, the National Association of Man
Boy
Boy Love Association. If you are a man, be patient, your time will come. If you are a boy, be brave, times will change." So I know there are those people out there, but I'd like to think they're as fringe can get when it comes to people that actually want to see the
don't know,
laws change.
I don't know. There's something I don't like about
Not
saying it, not saying it's the same, but like even putting it on the same like platter as.
That's them though. I don't
Yeah.
think
Yeah,
LGBT
I don't know, it's
folks.
just- Yeah, I don't know.
Look, let me ask you this. Let's change the topic only a little bit though.
Yeah.
Only because I'm always fascinated by the chat whenever we talk about this. People do not like to talk about this topic. And
Yeah.
I think that's problematic.
I think get a rage about it. I get that, and maybe I don't know.
But don't you think
I
that
think-
the
I
reason
think the
it's so
statistic-
taboo is also the reason that maybe it doesn't get any better, that we can't solve it because we can't even, it's like Voldemort. We
think
can't even
we
utter the
need-
name.
No,
Because
here's
I
the
think
here's the
we need
issue.
harsher punishment for pedophiles, and then people might actually think twice about
You
even
were
doing it.
you were just saying like law is bad. Who cares about
Oh
laws?
no,
That-
I'm not including stuff with like murder and
As
raping
long as the
children,
law's
obviously.
Bunny's okay with, we're good.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Let all people do drugs. That's more what I mean. Like
Nah, that's bad.
prostitution should be legal. Drugs should be
Nah.
legal.
I agree with that. I
Uh,
agree with that.
All right, I'm gonna put a poll, but I think the last statistic I saw is the reason why this is such a touchy subject to most people is it's like 75% or more people say they have had a personal experience or a related experience.
I have had
a friend who
related. I have
has
had,
been,
yes.
or a cousin or a brother. Yeah, so I'm gonna put a poll. Who personally has had an experience
Yeah, I'm
with this
curious.
issue?
Roboter says it's so taboo for society, swept under the rug. Yeah, I mean, that's the reason I bring it up, because it is so awful.
Yeah, I do think people should talk about it, but I think they should talk about it in the way of like, let's just kill them. I don't
Yeah.
know. I got very strong feelings.
Nah,
and
work him to
opinions
death is
about-
where I'm saying.
We could
Don't kill him.
chemically castrate him.
But
they
chemical
should-
castrating doesn't work.
Prison for
It doesn't
profit.
work?
Prison for profit on these guys. Okay,
Oh,
I'm totally down
Tech,
for it.
you can't
Get rid of them.
look. You can't be this
No,
character when it's obvious you're this character. You're just picking
I genuinely
contrarian
believe.
points.
No, your daughter will confirm all this. I've been a staunch believer in the law. I like the law. I like the
Prison
system.
for profit.
Prison for profit on pedophiles. PPP. I'm down for PPP.
Okay, if you're down for PPP, what you're down for then is you're down for people being falsely accused in order to make sure
Yeah,
that
fuck
the
'em.
CEO falsely accused
Fuck them, I guess, dude.
to make
the
sure
rate in
that
which
the
they're falsely
CEO
accused.
of that company gets a bigger bonus that Christmas. You want to
My
incentivize
options
people
are,
to be
let's
thrown
say-
into
let's
prison?
say- Give me a percentage. Like what? 5% are falsely accused.
I don't know.
or
Ask
higher?
ask Reaper.
Well, he's not gonna have. He's not gonna have direct like
He's
statistics.
gonna, yeah, but he's gonna
I'm-
have. But okay, but he may not have direct. But I assume Reaper that you did look at it and go, this doesn't make sense. If we're gonna do breaking the law and going to jail, it shouldn't be for profit, because it seems there's too many ways that you could have conflict of interest and individual lives are ruined because of that.
Yeah, there's the way that the prison for profit works, though, is they take the prison that is the state prison and they fill that one first, and then they send the overload to the prison for profit, and the
Private
state
ones.
pays the private prison
Right.
Yeah, for
Oh, to
overflow.
take 'em.
for beds. So technically, it'd be better for the private prison if they didn't get filled up, because they're still paid for the bed, but they don't have to pay for the food or the water consumption, because they're losing money in the food production that they're doing,
Okay.
because the state prison has food that they send out to their, like the jails. When the jails are partnered with the state prison will send them trays that they make. The for-profit prison has to provide their own meals. So they have to furnish their own kitchen, they have to furnish the staff, which most of the time they just use inmates. But they have staff that
Right.
oversee the inmates as they're doing the work.
So what you're saying is if someone's already arrested, they have to have already been found guilty, and then the only reason they would go, at least in Montana, to a private prison is because there's no room in the public prison.
Correct. In the state prison.
Right. So you don't think there's an opportunity for a judge or whatever to be, hey, hit your quota, find more people guilty so we can pay you under the table for filling up our state prison or our private prisons. You don't think that's a real thing?
Not in Montana. It could be in other states, but in Montana, at the very least, the way that they run it is very smart,
Got it.
because they run it off of the state prison, and then the private prison has to get theirs from the state prison afterwards.
Gotcha. Okay.
So,
Okay. And yeah, all I can tell you is, yeah, stick solid. Jaffe, why can't you stop saying dumb shit about child abuse? Seriously, you did this on Lolcow. Because it is one of the topics that I think we should be a little bit more comfortable talking about in order to maybe get to a point in society where we can look the problem in the face and actually go, we can do better than just, because think about your solution. Your solution is don't talk about it. Well, that's where we're at now. You don't talk about it. If you ever talk about it, the knee jerk is they're terrible monsters, which they are. But it's everybody's got to throw their hat in. See, I never supported that. I never supported it. It's like no one said you did. So I bring it up because I think it needs to be brought up from time to time, because this is a real fucking problem. And it is heartbreaking. And I have people in my life who have gone through it. And I've said this before, the one thing it'll never leave my fucking brain. when this person said to me he was abused when he was a kid, and he said it is akin to murder of the soul. It's like it's not a murder of the
And that's
body.
why I
The heart
think
doesn't
they
stop
should-
beating, but your soul dies. And maybe you can get it back,
that's why
but
I think they should get death, because
and
you're
that's a
ruining someone's
valid
life in a way that they have to stay awake for it.
Right.
They're alive for the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I feel like you should lose your life for that. I don't care.
I mean, life's kind of a easy way out, right? They should maybe be just
Maybe.
like brutally
don't
raped
know.
for the rest of their lives by a robot that looks like
Oh, work them to
That was
death.
possible. Yeah.
um
Work them to death.
all right. Well, anyway, we'll move on. But look, it's marbled into everything. I didn't mean to go here. We were talking about porn. Look, I understand it's the madhouse, and we talk a lot about UFOs and stuff that's a little fringe and stuff, but this guy's a fucking prison guard. How often are you going to have a chance to talk to a guy that this was his day-to-day life, and he engaged with the underbelly of society that we just look away from, and we don't want to see, and we don't want to know? Isn't that's fascinating to me? It's absolutely fascinating to me. Do you have PTSD stuff from this job or not really? It never got that bad.
I don't know if I'd say I have PTSD. I mean, I know people that actually have PTSD from other situations, but I do still have thoughts where I'll flash back to that situation or stuff like that. I mean, I still wore my wedding ring into the prison. I had to stare at a guy and look him in the face as he told me he was going to rape and murder my wife and my daughter in front of me while I watched. And I couldn't say anything. I couldn't defend anything. I couldn't.
You
I had to
couldn't
just sit
because you knew it wasn't a good idea, or like what was the reason you didn't say anything?
Because I knew if I said something, I was about that close to opening the door on him and becoming an inmate myself.
Okay.
Because I was just filled with rage.
Okay.
That anything I would have said would have not been verbal. It would have been more of a physical. I'd either be on the floor dead or he'd
Right.
be dead.
And
Because-
so you looked at it, and even though you knew he was trying to get a rise out of you, he was just fucking with you. It still hit enough, and that's why you stopped wearing your wedding ring at work.
No, I still wore it because to me, my wedding ring, I don't care if they know I'm married. They don't know who I'm married to.
Right,
They don't
right,
know what
right.
she looks like. They don't know any of that. So it's one of those, okay, I mean, you can say it because he didn't know who my wife was. He didn't know where I worked
Right,
or where
right,
I
right.
lived or anything. And he was saying he was up for parole with saying that.
Good luck.
And we have cameras up there.
Yeah.
And I was writing everything down in our logbook because if you don't have it written down, it didn't happen.
Right.
And
Did you ever
so-
have? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no! So he tried to call the PREA on me, and so I called my sergeant down to review everything. 'Cause
Why
he's
would
the
he
only one
call
trusted.
what? I don't understand. A PREA? Why would he call?
Yeah, the Prison Rape Elimination Act. So basically, with that, he was trying to charge me. He said that when he talked to my sergeant, and I talked to my sergeant about it after the fact, because I had to walk away because
Yep.
sensitive, you can't be right there with him. My sergeant let me go out for a cigarette, which I smoked, I think, 5 in a good 10, 15-minute stretch where I just had to kind of
Right.
try to calm down. When I talked to my sergeant after the fact, he said, yeah, he said that you told him he had to bend over and show you his butt cheeks. And I'm like, okay, well, everything's written down. He goes, yeah, no, you got it written down real good. You're fine. You don't have to worry about it. It's not going to go anywhere. And I was like, okay, well, dude's up for parole. He goes, not with that. So, didn't have to worry about anything happening of that. But there are those situations where if that guy had gotten out and he hadn't said something like that, I might have had to be worried about maybe getting
Absolutely.
a protection order or something like that.
Got it. Did you ever have any friends from real life that ended up being prisoners that you had to guard?
Not that I had to guard. I did have one fellow officer that I had trusted for a while that we became pretty close friends, I think. That I actually had about 3 of them One was sleeping with an inmate that we didn't know about for 15 years and teaching other officers and nurses how to sleep with inmates and get away with it.
Okay.
One ended up moving from the male prison to the female prison, which as a male, you want to try to avoid working in a female prison unless
Sure.
you've got a very strong constitution.
Yeah. Yeah.
He succumbed and had an affair with several of the female inmates and ended up an inmate himself because of that.
Because he was a rapist in the eyes of that law.
Yep,
Right.
exactly. And then the third one was he went off the rails. He killed a grizzly bear, which is illegal federally. He'd hunted it, and they were looking into him for that. And then he had a couple of other felony warrants that he got after he got fired from the prison. That he ended up being an inmate as well. But
Got
I think it just kind of takes a toll on you if you don't
Sure.
wall up.
I want to go back to the porn, if I may,
Love porn.
briefly, because this is the other comment. A generation of women, she explains. This is the writer who wrote a book called "Girl on Girl: How Pop Culture Turned a Generation of Women Against Themselves." And she says a generation of women were persuaded by the ideas that bodies were commodities to be molded, surveilled, fetishized, or made the butt of the joke, that sexual power, which might give some fleeting leverage, was the only power worth having. This lie curdled the emerging promise of 20th century feminism, and as our ambition shrank, the potential for exploitation grew. I bring it up because and again, I live on Twitter. I'm always looking up stories for the show and stuff, so I spend more time there than I should. But I do notice, and maybe this is not normal, like I've not been on a college campus in a very long time. I don't know what the average young woman, how she dresses these days or how she expresses herself these days or anything like that. But I see so many of the women on Twitter that really are overtly sexual. And that wasn't my generation. And I'm not judging them as negative. It just seems like what I'm asking you guys is that the norm now? Or is that just, well, no, that's just who you see on Twitter because it's Twitter and it's engaging. But if you go to a college campus or whatever, it's the same as it ever was. They're dressing appropriate for the moment that they're in. You know what I'm saying? Like there's these things on Twitter where they've got, I don't even know what it's called. I'm old, so forgive me. But it's like they've got girls and guys sitting around a table and they're just 20 somethings and they're just talking about these.
They're just all making out.
No, they're not having sex, but they're just talking about their, real, sexualized experiences and things like that. I don't know what this show is, but it's there's tons of these clips on Twitter, and I'm just asking, is that according to this article, this is kind of what women have been trained recently, that's what you need to do and be because that's your value. Is this an accurate statement or not? Does it make sense what I'm asking?
I think me living in the South, it might be a little different because, like, in the college towns here and stuff, like my little brother's in college and they're all wearing sweatpants. And, like,
right. That's what, okay.
Yeah.
So they're not all like the Hawktua girl going around. I mean, she was dressed fine though. Let me see if I can find one of these. Tech, what do you think? You're.
Oh, they're like that here in Vegas.
They're like what here in Vegas?
Like openly sexual, talk about whatever.
I think a lot of it has to do too with like music and things like that. Celebrity influence.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to find some. And of course, it's hard to find now. So, what's the chat say? Jaffe talking about the red pill. I might be talking about the red pill podcast. Is that what it's called? This got fucking gross quick. I'm out. Stick solid. What is your problem? You can't talk about.
I'm on purpose.
Huh?
He's giving you a hard time on purpose, and you're falling for it.
I want to fall for it. It makes good content. If a grown consenting adult wants to show off their bodies or even offer sex to make a living, who are we to say they can't? I'm not. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying that the article is saying that the prevalence and the ease of pornography access has caused a lot of young women to reevaluate their value, and that they then embrace that instead of other things. I'm not saying one is good or bad. I'm asking, no, of course not. I'm asking how prevalent it is. Has it gotten more prevalent, or it's the same as it always has been? That's all I'm asking.
I feel like you see it more on social media and stuff, because like even when I just go out here, it's no different than it was, 15 years ago going out to a club. Like, people aren't dressed anymore. It's not like women are going out in pasties or anything, but you do see that on
social media. Okay.
Yeah, you see that. And most of the time I feel like it is probably girls advertising their sex work and stuff.
Gotcha.
Like a lot of the even if because sex workers have had to get real cheeky with how they advertise too. They don't just straight up say like, "Hey, subscribe to my OnlyFans" anymore. They make it look like a regular post because you'll get shadow banned.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Jaffe, you have a lot to answer for when you see Jesus on Sunday. Jesus would like me. He would say,
Jesus
cool.
would love Jaffe.
It's like you're asking interesting questions. He's probably a fan of the podcast. He's probably as big of a fan of this, just like Bold Alpha Wolf, who just gifted 5 memberships to the show. Luke Williams, Baptiste PG, which, by the way, there's a horror game we might play tonight called Baptiste about a terrifying ventriloquist dummy. David J. Hoyta, Terrapin Fred, and Cutter all got memberships by Bold Alpha Wolf's generosity. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. All right. Well, look, we promised a tight show tonight. I think we're going into our second hour. I would love to keep talking because I really do. I have, let me ask you in the chat, give us 10 more minutes. Can we get 10 more minutes before we wrap up? Is that okay? Tech?
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
I've got one story.
Yes.
If chat wants to hear it.
What you got?
About a beheading that happened at the Montana State Prison.
Yes, please. One's in the chat if you want to hear the beheading story. I'm not. Shut up, Stick. Why don't you call in, little bitch, after we finish talking to Reaper? I swear to God. I swear to God. All right, tell us the story. They all want to hear it. Of course.
All right. So the way the story goes is they used to be able to cover up the window to go to the bathroom because you want some privacy. So this inmate with his cellmate had covered the window like he was going to the bathroom, and the officer had made the rounds a couple of times, and the window's still covered. And by the time the officer had opened up the door to check what was going on, the cellmate's head was dangling by the back little bit of his neck, the cartilage that's back there. Well, what had happened was over the time, he had broken a piece of his bed off. He'd gotten some way where they get some weird ways that they make shanks and shivs, but he'd made one about that big. And he just started sawing away.
On his own self?
On his cellmate.
Oh, shit. Okay. So
yeah,
wait a minute. Was the cellmate yelling like, help me, or?
No, so what had happened was they'd had an altercation at some point during the day, and they both went into the cell at different times. And when the second one, who was pissed off enough to want to kill his cellmate, went in, he covered the window, turned around, and throat punched or something where it knocked the wind out of him. And he was able to either slit his throat real quick or just start cutting. And by the time that he was actually going to be able to make a noise, he was dead. And so the officers, when they came in, one thing that never happens is an inmate never dies on prison property. So when the officers came in, they had to perform CPR on a near headless body, pumping blood out through that stump.
Wait a minute, but because it. Wait, I understood all that except a person never dies on prison property. Clearly, a person did die on prison property. Are you saying that? I don't
They
understand
still
that.
have to try to resuscitate them even if they're clearly dead.
Exactly, because
For,
they
like,
don't
the same way.
purposes.
they don't want anyone to die on prison property, so they want to be able to say, well, they were performing life-saving procedures until he arrived in the ambulance to the hospital, and that's where he was pronounced dead.
Oh my God! So they were just the blood was.
Yep. And they weren't allowed to stop.
Don't make me laugh. That will look horrible.
I would love to see that movie though. I'd love to watch it in a movie. Holy
Yeah.
shit! All right, well,
Yep.
man, I am so grateful, Reaper. You reached out to us today and you decided to spend some time with us. I enjoyed this very much. I never know because this week, Reaper, we've been trying to bring on guests every night that we can share stories with, and I love it. I don't know yet if that's going to become the norm because I don't know what the audience thinks. I haven't looked at the stats, but I can tell you for me just personally, what a real delight to chat with you about this. I just thought it was fascinating.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Not a problem at all.
All right. Well, we'll let you go, but we'll chat with you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Reaper.
Thanks, Reaper.
There he goes, fellas. The prison guard that protects us all. That's a fascinating guy.
Yeah.
That's a fascinating guy. So what do we think, chat, about these guests? Do we like the idea of bringing people on like this and making them like a rotating fourth? Or would you rather it go back to just me, Bunny, and Tech chiming in? We can do either one, but that's why we ask you guys this stuff, because we don't know. We don't know. But I found it fascinating. I found it very, very interesting. And so here's where we're at, folks. We've got 2. Is it 2? Do we think we're going to get 3, Tech, or we're not getting above 2? Do we want to? I don't want to extend the show too long to try to get another demo. I would very much love to play another demo tonight because I have the energy. But what I don't want to do is extend the show 20 minutes trying to see if we're going to get that many members. So you make the call, Technology Protection.
We are going to be on another stream. Right? We're going to start.
Oh, right. So if people want more
they donate
demos. Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Okay. All right, cool. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to are you going to join us, Tech, or no?
I'll be there.
Okay. So we are going, Sterling says occasional guest. Understood. So maybe what we'll do is tomorrow night, you should have guests, but have an America's Got Talent buzzer system. I hear you. I think I would love that. The problem is I might have to set that up in Discord, not YouTube, because people will troll it if it's easy to troll like in YouTube. But yeah, David Carmichael, thank you so much for the new Jaffe gift membership. It has gone to Eclipse 69. So Tech, where are we at with we've got 2 games already. Let's at least update it here. And are we starting at 1, or where are we at with the third one?
We are at.
Thank you for that, buddy. We appreciate it.
Oh, we've unlocked 2 games.
I know.
We're 2 into the next one, which is
We're 2. Okay, 200.
20 out of so 2 out of 20 for
It's 2 out of
demo
20.
3.
Okay, got it. Okay. All right, we'll keep that up on the screen. Okay. Thank you, David Carmichael. Very generous, buddy. Thank you so much. Okay. Bunny, what do you think? Any final words on Reaper and tonight's We didn't get into the missing
That was really
disappeared scientist. We'll talk about that tomorrow, but
Yeah.
yeah.
I forgot to ask him Willie Farnsworth's question.
What was
I
his
meant
question?
to. He had a great question. What was the weirdest thing he'd ever found in somebody's butt?
Did he have to look into some people's butts?
I don't know, or maybe he maybe heard of a weird
Oh,
thing.
well,
in
Reaper, if
somebody's
you're
butt.
still there,
Yeah.
let us know. We'd love to know
Yeah,
what's
let us
in
know.
people's buttholes.
Yeah,
Good
what
question,
in that butt?
Willie.
Yeah, and if you know anyone, by the way, that would make a good guest, let us know. We'd love to bring them on. So, all right, here's what we're doing. We're gonna
Y'all-
take. Go ahead, Bunny.
Oh. I was just gonna say, do y'all know who Clownvis is?
Clown.
No.
He's the clown Elvis. I thought Tech might.
Does
He
he
has
do
a
porn?
podcast on. No.
Do you
There's a
know
clown
him?
that doesn't do
But
porn. I probably
he
don't
does
know.
have a podcast on YouTube. We follow each other on Twitter. I was wondering if y'all.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, he's
yeah.
cool as shit.
He's cool.
Yeah, he's
Cooler
really
than
cool. I
Jaffe?
love-
Come on now. Come on now.
Oh no, not cool as Jaffe.
Let me see, Clownvis. There he is. Would he's got to come on as Clownvis though. He can't come on as normal.
Yeah,
self.
oh yeah. I don't think he does anything.
Other.
not
Okay.
Clownvis. Yeah.
He works with Insane Clown Posse, says David Carmichael. Cool.
Yeah, he goes to all the stuff and he gets a lot of awesome footage. Really cool stuff.
We do update our screen numbers, Infant. Unfortunately, because it's manual, we don't have a. We might be able to build something now that we're off locale that it'll just do it for us. But you're right. It's my bad because I'm running OBS and I don't do it because I get caught up in the conversation. We eventually do, but yeah, I would love to let us know what he would want to talk about and what he's into besides Elvis, of course. That would be cool. I was going to ask you something really quickly before we go. Reaper says the worst thing I ever saw in someone's butt was a baggie of tattoo stuff. So I guess somebody tried to smuggle that in. Oh, I know what it was. I know it was me getting pissed at Stick. I'm like, whatever. I don't know when a guy's trolling or not because he's always that's what I mean when I talk
I think
to
he
him.
was actually kind of being serious. Well, not kind of. I think he was being serious that time. I think.
But here's what he wrote. It doesn't make any real sense. He said, stop saying stupid shit about child abuse. And I'm kind of like, what stupid shit did I say about child abuse?
I think he might have taken. I think he might have said that at the point where you said that maybe they went through something as a child, and that's why. I don't know if that. I think that was when.
But
It
that
was around
I
that
don't
time,
know.
yeah.
But that
But-
can be true. That doesn't mean I'm defending them. Why?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, that's the kind of mind that frustrates me.
Things that can be true aren't necessarily like productive for the conversation. Is the only point. Do you believe it to be productive for the conversation?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
well, then argue that next time they like push the issue.
Because the whole point is that we need to be able to talk about where this comes from and able to maybe prevent it as best we can. If we really care about kids like we say we do, and we should, let's leave no stone unturned when it comes to maybe fixing this problem. That's my point, you know. Connor says have Brantley on as a guest. Look, that woman never fucking liked me, and I never liked her, frankly.
Or me.
I always thought she was kind of, you know, I think what it was is she was used to people kissing her ass because she was Keemstar's fiance and is Keemstar's fiance. And that's fine, by the way. But I didn't hold her in any higher or lesser esteem because she's going to marry some guy. What do I give a shit? And so I think she knew that. That's just me reading into it. Speaking of lolcow, I do want to, before we go, I know I like talking to you guys. I'm sorry. I know the shows go long. I'm sorry. But it's fun. I hope you guys enjoy it, you Glock dookie fucks. Yes, I got him. I want to go over, and let's just be clear. We listened to the Discord. We do not have, because I know a lot of you guys in the Discord were not comfortable with this woman, Vixen. Is that her name? Vixen?
Links?
Oh,
Links. That
was close to his name.
Yeah,
almost.
and we said, okay, absolutely. You know, loud. We said, absolutely. We are not, you know, we care about our community. And even though I never had a problem with her, I've barely ever spoken with her. This is not a problem. Okay, fine. But she did reach out to me and she showed me her statues and stuff. And she said, hey, I'd like people to know what I do. I'm trying to get away from all that drama bullshit. I'm really serious about my creativity and my art and my business. Would you mind? Can I make you some statues? And I said, yeah. And she's
Said no, right?
I said, yeah. And she's painting one, I think right now. I just want to go over to her Twitch thing. Links.
Oh, you're doing the thing. Even me and
What?
we both said don't interact.
I'm
Don't
not
do
going.
this.
I'm not going to interact with her. I just want to see her painting
This is
my.
an interaction.
I'm not going to talk to her. I want to see her painting my statue.
You just talked about talking to her.
She's painting the statue right now. Would you like to see the statue that she's painting? If not, I'll look at it on my own in the break. I was gonna, because it's gonna go back there. That's all. If not, I won't do it. Jesus, you guys let me know what you want to do. I thought it would be cool to see what she's painting because she's doing it for me. And you know, I don't. But we're not gonna have her come on as a guest. We're not gonna have her in the Discord. I heard what you guys said. We respect the community for that. But goddamn, you know, what is Tech sending me something?
Not me.
Oh, I'm not, Bunny. No, it was P.O. Box. P.O. Box, 100%, 100%.
Yeah, was it Jaffe sending his address to
No,
lady
I-
online?
She is talented. I'll give her work. Yeah, she is very talented.
And I just want to, can I?
That's okay.
And I feel like she would understand me saying that I don't trust her. Because
Yeah.
I feel like she understands the reputation she has, and it may not be true.
It may not
But,
be true,
yeah,
and
she's
even if it
trying-
is, she's
yeah,
trying to
may
get
not.
out of it, and maybe
Yeah,
she's full of shit, but she's still
But
making
just
me
be
a
careful
statue
still,
for.
though.
I will.
Yeah.
I will. And I just want to look at the statue. Do you guys want to see what she's painting? That's all I'm asking. If not, I won't show it to
Oh,
you.
yeah.
Okay.
No, I want to see.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
whatever.
is very talented. Yeah.
No, she's okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything against it. I just know everything that I've heard from many, many people, and a lot of people that I, like, trust have said, like, you know.
Right. Yeah, I try to
just,
avoid.
stay cautious.
I try
but-
to avoid all that shit, but yeah. But I hear you absolutely. And I don't even know if she's on. She was supposed to be on, but she's doing a Supergirl for me. I love
Project
Supergirl,
Scorpio said spy cam statue. Yeah, you better inspect.
but she's doing a Supergirl for me.
That'd be funny,
That
though.
would be
I
great.
think I would laugh if she
I
did
love
this.
Supergirl.
Project Scorpio
Would you
said,
laugh if
like,
there's,
okay,
like,
maybe
a-
she could go in.
Like a hidden
That's
air
funny.
tag or something, Bunny? What would you say?
What is
I
this?
think
What
that
is
would be pretty
what
funny.
is this woman done that has earned such disdain from you guys? I'm not saying she hasn't earned
I
it.
don't have disdain for. I've heard a lot, and I don't actually know her, so I can only base things on, like, you know.
Yeah,
I have. I
I'm
don't
gonna
have a bad,
take-
I will say I haven't had a bad
Got it.
experience with her.
Okay,
I'll
so
say
she's
that, but-
doing Supergirl. She's doing the Melissa Benoist Supergirl from the show, and then she's doing a Bloodborne one. She said, "Oh, I love Bloodborne too. I'll do two of them for you." And I said, "Great." And so they'll be back there, standing.
I'm gonna take 10 seconds while Jaffe's talking away from his mic and no one can hear him. The goddamn devil, she asked me what she should paint for you. Shut the fuck up. No one cares about you, dude. Go find a hole to drink whiskey in, all right? Your wife left you. You're fucking
Who are
pathetic.
you yelling
Okay,
at?
don't be mean.
Anthony.
Don't be mean.
No, I'm being mean.
Oh,
Fuck
yeah,
you,
okay.
Anthony. You're annoying. Get out of here.
Okay. Anyway, this came with
Reconcile
the.
with your kid. Fuck
This
you.
came with the. I got sent a Fallen Avalon. It's really good though. Tech, I think you would like it because you like these RPGs, Kingdom Come 2,
Yeah.
Skyrim. I think I'll see if I can get you a code if you like
Big fan.
watching the game because it's really good. It's really fun. Okay. So yeah, let's take 10 minutes. We'll be back on this very channel in 10 minutes, and we will play at least two horror demos. I'd like to play more, but we got to get those donos up, baby. Come on now. But we'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you guys so much for supporting the show, for watching. I hope you had a good time. I sure did. Bunny, any final words before we wrap it up?
I had fun. Don't go to prison. Don't have
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Tech, anything from you?
Mwah.
Gross.
How sweet.
Oh, sweet. I mean,
Yeah.
all
All
right.
right, everybody, we're gonna close it out with a little outro song. This goes out to Anna G.
Anna G.
Actually, We're doing a two for Energy and Toe Beans. Toe Beans has been here, the first person to chat on the live stream.
Aw.
Number 1. All right, and she's here at the end. So Toe Beans and Energy, we got you.
Here we go.
Up. Anna G is a G. She comes out to see the madhouse with her clout, Miss Toe Beans, and now we're here together. At the end, we're gonna give it to Bunny. Give it a send.
Anna G and Toe Beans are two cute booties sitting on the beach with sand in their cheeks.
Jaffe.
Go, Jaffe.
Energy lost her life in a motorcycle crash. As her spirit left her body, Toe Beans cried, "Why have you left me, my one true love?" And Energy's hand reached down and touched the soul of Toe Beans and said, "I'll see you on the other side, you sweet, delightful woman." And then they all died. And that's the story of Energy.
Well, thank everybody for tuning into the Madhouse. Join us back on this same channel in about 15 minutes. That's what Jaffe said. It's probably going to be half an hour.
No, it
We
will.
love you
Don't.
guys.
Don't.
We'll see you soon. Look out for the live. We'll announce in the Discord.
All right.
Follow Jaffe and Bunny on Twitter. Check out my foot finder. And we are...